The first sign that something was wrong came not with a bang, but with a laugh. It was 3:17 a.m. aboard Outpost Kestrel, a human listening station at the very edge of Terran-controlled space. Most of the crew were asleep, the lights dimmed, the machinery humming with its usual soft background growl. But Corporal Jack Renner, unofficial class clown, part-time poker champion, and the only person on shift who could make coffee strong enough to dissolve a spoon, was leaning back in his chair, feet on the console, scrolling through ancient comedy clips downloaded from Earth. That's when the screen flickered, glitched, and replaced the feed with something else. Not static, not interference, an alien face. The face was thin, sharp, reptilian, its eyes yellow like molten gold and unblinking. Its jaw was lined with rows of small teeth, and its expression was as flat and merciless as a blade. Behind it, some kind of ceremonial banner, black with crimson sigils, rippled. A voice came through, low and deliberate, perfectly translated by the station's autocoms. "Humans! One of you will die tonight." Jack nearly spilled his mug. He blinked at the screen, rubbed his eyes, and laughed out loud. "Okay, who the hell queued up the space drama holo? That's good work. Real creepy." He leaned forward and waved at the alien face. "Hey, buddy, if this is Interstellar Netflix, you're missing the popcorn." The alien did not blink. Its voice came again. "We are the Ketheri. We send only one. One is enough." Then the screen cut to black. For a long moment, Jack just sat there, staring at his reflection in the now empty monitor. Then he snorted, shook his head, and muttered, "Yeah, right. Sure you do. Damn pranksters." He reached for his coffee again, just as the alarm klaxon started howling. The sound jolted the whole outpost awake. Within minutes, boots were stomping through the corridors. The commander, Major Eliza Ward, stormed into the control room with a scowl sharp enough to cut glass. She was tall, lean, built like someone who ran 6 kilometers before breakfast just to punish the pavement. Her hair was pulled back so tight it looked like it hurt. "Report," she snapped. Jack swiveled in his chair, still holding his mug. Yeah, so we might have a visitor. Some Ketheri assassin guy just hijacked the feed. Said one of us is gonna die tonight. Very spooky. I give the performance an 8 out of 10, points deducted for lack of dramatic lighting." Ward's expression didn't change, but the vein in her temple twitched. "And you didn't think to call me the second that happened?" "I was gonna," Jack said. "Right after I finished laughing." Before Ward could reply, another voice cut in. Lieutenant Kaya Morgan, head of security, appeared at the doorway. She was Jack's opposite in every way, sharp-eyed, disciplined, a woman whose idea of fun was maintaining spotless weapon maintenance logs. She had a sidearm strapped to her thigh and a permanent aura of "I do not have time for your nonsense." "The external sensors confirm it," Morgan said grimly. "Something docked with the outposts. Small signature, minimal emissions. Could be a stealth shuttle. If it's Ketheri, then the transmission was real." The room went silent. Even Jack stopped smirking. Everyone in the galaxy knew the stories. The Ketheri were infamous, mercenary assassins who didn't send armies, didn't wage wars. They sent one operative at a time. And each one was said to be worth 100 soldiers. No one had ever stopped them once they picked a target. Ward's jaw tightened. "All right. Full lockdown. Morgan, get your squads deployed. Nobody's alone. Nobody splits up. If that assassin's aboard, we're going to make them regret stepping foot on human steel." Jack raised a hand. "Quick question. If they're here for one of us, how do we know which one?" Ward shot him a glare. "Does it matter? We're all targets until proven otherwise." Morgan's gaze flicked to Jack. "Unless they go for the weakest link first." Jack gave a nervous laugh. "Hey, I resent that. I may not have your combat training, but I make a mean cappuccino. Nobody kills the coffee guy, right?" Nobody laughed. By 0400 hours, the outpost was locked down. The crew, 32 souls total, were grouped into squads and armed. Hallways that normally buzzed with chatter now echoed with tense footsteps and the metallic click of rifles being checked and rechecked. The lights had been raised to full brightness, every shadow banished. But shadows had a way of finding their way back. The first incident happened in the engineering bay. A crewman named Patel was checking the auxiliary power relays when the lights flickered, just for a second, and then he was gone. When Ward and Morgan's squads rushed in, all they found was his toolkit lying on the floor, one wrench still warm from his grip. No blood. No body. Just absence. That was when the fear truly set in. Jack found himself sticking close to Morgan's squad, rifle slung awkwardly in his arms. He hated rifles. They were heavy, uncomfortable, and always made him worry he'd shoot his own foot. But he didn't crack jokes now. Not when people were vanishing. The assassin wasn't charging in guns blazing. It wasn't roaring or smashing walls. It was quiet. Precise. Surgical. Every time someone strayed a little too far from the group, they didn't come back. "This is ridiculous," Jack whispered at one point, clutching his rifle tighter. "We're supposed to be the dangerous ones. Didn't anyone tell the galaxy we've survived wars, plagues, alien invasions, taxes?" Morgan glanced at him. "Shut up and keep your eyes open." Hours dragged. The crew tried to stay calm, but whispers of doom spread fast. Some swore they saw golden eyes in the vents. Others claimed to hear claws scraping on the hull, though scans showed nothing. Ward barked orders with iron authority, but even she couldn't deny the numbers, 3 more crew missing, with no trace. Finally, Jack couldn't hold his tongue anymore. "Okay," he said during a strategy briefing. "Clearly, this guy plays by horror movie rules. Shadows, vanishings, psychological creep factor. But here's the thing, humans invented horror movies. We wrote the playbook. Which means," he grinned despite himself, "we know all the tropes. And maybe we can turn them against him." Ward pinched the bridge of her nose. "Renner." "No, I'm serious," Jack insisted. "Think about it. Monsters pick people off one by one? We stay grouped. Monsters lurk in shadows? We flood every room with light and noise. Monsters want us scared? We do the opposite, we laugh. That's how you beat the script." To his surprise, a few of the crew actually chuckled. The tension broke just slightly. Ward stared at him for a long time, then sighed. "Fine. We'll try it your way, Corporal. But if this gets more of my people killed—" Yeah, Jack said, raising his mug in a mock toast. "Blame me. I'm used to it." The new plan went into effect immediately. Speakers blared rock music down the corridors. Floodlights were rigged in every corner, even the bathrooms. Crew moved in tight clusters, cracking jokes, refusing to let the silence close in. For the first time since the transmission, the outpost didn't feel like a tomb. But the assassin adapted too. At 0700, just as Jack was starting to believe they'd outsmarted the monster, a voice whispered through the comms, low, cold, unmistakable. "You think laughter saves you. You think light protects you. But all you've done is tell me exactly where to strike." Then the power died. The music cut off mid-note. The lights snapped out. The hum of the machines fell silent, plunging Outpost Kestrel into suffocating blackness. And from somewhere in the dark came the sound of claws. Darkness in space isn't like darkness on Earth. On Earth, darkness is broken by starlight, moonlight, the glow of cities, or at least the faint comfort of the sky. But aboard Outpost Kestrel, when the systems went dead, the darkness was total, suffocating, a living thing pressing against the eyes. For a heartbeat, no one moved. No one even breathed. Then panic. Boots scrambled. Voices rose in frightened questions. Someone dropped their rifle, and the metallic clang ricocheted through the corridor like a gunshot. Jack clutched his weapon tight, heart pounding so hard he swore the assassin could hear it. "Stay calm!" Major Ward barked, her voice cutting through the chaos like a whip. "Form up! Everyone on me!" But the Kethri assassin had chosen its moment perfectly. In that instant of confusion, something struck. A scream tore from the back of the group, then cut short as if strangled mid-breath. When Jack swung his rifle toward the sound, he saw nothing. Just more dark. The scraping claws came again, closer this time, and Jack swore he felt warm breath at the back of his neck. "Emergency glow sticks!" Morgan hissed. The squad fumbled at their belts, snapping chemical sticks to life. Dim green and blue light flooded the hall in shaky patches, throwing distorted shadows on the walls. It wasn't much, but it was enough to see each other's terrified faces. Enough to keep the abyss from swallowing them whole. The assassin, however, was nowhere in sight. Ward's face was grim. "Renner, you wanted tropes? Well, congratulations. We're living one. Now shut your mouth and help us hold this together." Jack opened his mouth, then shut it again. For once, he didn't argue. The crew tried to adapt. They spread glow sticks through the corridors, creating eerie trails of light that guided them like breadcrumbs. They set up tight patrols, moving cautiously but refusing to split up. Morgan organized overlapping fields of fire, ensuring no corridor went unwatched. But the assassin was clever. It didn't attack the groups directly. Instead, it preyed on their psychology. Lights would vanish one by one, someone's glow stick crushed underfoot in the dark, or flickering strangely until it went out. Distant sounds lured people to look away from their squadmates for just a second. And every time they did, someone disappeared. By 0900 they were down to 23. 9 crew gone. No blood. No trace. Just absence. Jack leaned against the wall, clutching his mug of now cold coffee. "This is insane," he muttered. "We're playing hide-and-seek with a nightmare. And we're losing." Morgan crouched beside him, checking the magazine on her sidearm. "Losing is not an option." "Easy for you to say," Jack whispered. "You're trained for this. I'm just the idiot who fixes the coffee machine and watches sitcoms. Why the hell would some alien super assassin target us? We're not important. We're not generals or politicians or—" "Because we're human," Morgan interrupted, her voice sharp. "That's reason enough. You've read the reports. They hate us. Not because of what we've done, but because of what we can do. Because we adapt. Because we don't die easy." Jack met her eyes, saw the steel there, and swallowed his reply. Maybe she was right. But it sure didn't feel like they were adapting right now. Hours dragged. Exhaustion began to creep in. Fear had hollowed the crew's eyes, and every hiss of venting steam sounded like claws. They needed a plan, something different, something the assassin wouldn't expect. And, as usual, the ridiculous idea came from Jack. He was sitting cross-legged in the mess hall with the others, nursing a half-eaten ration bar, when inspiration struck. He slapped his thigh suddenly. "Decoys!" Ward groaned. "Renner! No, listen! That thing's taking people one by one, right? Picking us off like snacks. So what if we feed it snacks? Give it targets that aren't us?" Morgan frowned. "You mean bait?" Jack grinned. "Exactly. Mannequins. Dummies. Hell, even piles of laundry shaped vaguely human. We set them up with glow sticks, put them where it expects easy prey, and then we ambush it when it strikes." For a moment, silence. Then, slowly, Ward nodded. "It's insane. It's stupid. And it's the only idea we've got." Within an hour, the crew had scrounged together makeshift decoys, training dummies from the gym, crates wrapped in spare uniforms, even a mop propped up with a helmet on top. Each one carried a glow stick, flickering like nervous fireflies. They placed them strategically in corridors and supply bays, areas where the assassin had struck before. Then they waited. The first decoy lasted only 20 minutes. A shadow flickered past the glow-stick light, and then the crewman was gone, smashed to pieces, the glow stick shattered. Morgan's squad opened fire immediately, bullets shredding the walls. But when the dust cleared, there was nothing. The assassin had already slipped away. Still, it was progress. For the first time, they'd tricked it. They'd forced it to show its hand. And Jack wasn't done yet. "You know what we need?" he whispered later, pacing back and forth. "Noise. Real noise. That thing thrives on silence, on creeping us out. But if we make the station sound like a carnival, maybe it loses its edge." Ward arched a brow. "And how do you suggest we do that without power?" Jack grinned. "Simple. Old school. Drums, whistles, pots and pans. We turned this place into Mardi Gras, Space Edition." It was ludicrous. It was childish. And yet, as the crew banged pots, clapped hands, and sang old Earth songs into the shadows, the fear lifted. The assassin couldn't stalk in silence anymore. The humans had filled the darkness with their own defiance. Jack himself led the charge, bellowing out choruses of sea shanties he half remembered from ancient recordings. His voice cracked, his rhythm was terrible, but laughter bubbled through the group. For the first time in 12 hours, it wasn't the assassin controlling the script. It was them. But the Kethri wasn't just deadly. It was patient. The next strike came during one of the improvised concerts. The humans were clapping and stomping in rhythm when a shadow flickered overhead. By the time they noticed, one of the singers had been plucked from the group, vanishing into the vents above. Screams echoed briefly, then silence. The music faltered. Fear surged back. Jack clenched his fists. No. No, damn it, that's what it wants. It wants us quiet, scared. So we don't give it the satisfaction. Louder, people! Sing like you're drunk at karaoke! And somehow, impossibly, they did. The outpost shook with human voices, ragged but unbroken. The assassin didn't like that. From the darkness, its voice slithered through the vents, mocking and cold. Pathetic creatures. You think noise and toys will save you? I will strip you apart, one by one, until only silence remains. Ward growled, her eyes flashing. Funny thing about humans, she shouted back into the shadows. We don't do silence. Not for long. You'll learn that the hard way. The standoff escalated. Every move the assassin made, the humans countered with creativity and stubbornness. It cut the lights? They made their own. It hunted silence? They filled the halls with laughter and song. It struck at stragglers? They used decoys. But each clash cost them. By 1800 hours, the crew was down to 16. Half their number gone. And the assassin still hadn't shown its true form. That night, as the survivors huddled together in the mess, Jack slumped against the wall, utterly drained. His voice was hoarse from singing, his hands bruised from banging pots. But his mind raced. This can't go on, he whispered to Morgan. We're patching holes in a sinking ship. We need to end this. Tonight. Morgan studied him. You sound like you actually believe we can. Jack forced a grin. What can I say? Humans don't die easy. We also don't quit easy. That was when he had his craziest idea yet. What if we bait it with me? He said. Morgan blinked. What? Think about it. Jack continued. I've been running my mouth all day. I've been mocking it, laughing at it, refusing to shut up. If I were an assassin who wanted to make a point, I'd go for the loudmouth first. So let it come for me. And when it does, we make our move. Morgan stared at him like he'd grown a second head. That's insane. Yeah, Jack said. But so is singing sea shanties to an alien assassin. And that worked. Ward, overhearing, didn't dismiss it immediately. She rubbed her temples, then said quietly, If we do this, we need a trap. Something it won't see coming. Jack smiled wearily. Oh, I've got just the thing. The crew leaned in as he explained. A plan half-baked, reckless, and very, very human. And somewhere in the darkness of Outpost Kestrel, the Kethri assassin listened. And smiled. No one slept that night. Outpost Kestrel was a graveyard waiting to happen, and every soul aboard knew it. They spent the hours building Jack's ridiculous, desperate plan into something workable, something that could actually catch a predator designed to be unstoppable. The idea was simple: lure the assassin with Jack, then spring a trap in the mess hall. But the execution? That was the tricky part. They rigged what power they could coax from the auxiliary batteries into a cluster of improvised flood lamps, set to trigger the moment the assassin entered the room. Morgan oversaw the placement of tripwires, low-tech, but reliable, and hidden nets woven from spare cabling. Ward authorized the use of the station's emergency plasma cutters, turning them into makeshift turrets. It wasn't much. It wasn't professional. But it was human. And sometimes, human was enough. Jack sat on a crate in the middle of the mess hall, glow stick dangling from his collar like bait on a hook. He sipped cold coffee from his battered mug, trying not to let his hands shake. "You sure about this?" Morgan asked quietly from her post near the doorway. Jack forced a grin. "Nope. But hey, someone's gotta play the goat. Might as well be me." Ward gave him a look that could cut through steel. "You're not just bait. You're the trigger. The second it shows itself, you keep it talking. Stall it. Mock it. Whatever it takes. The longer it focuses on you, the more time we have to spring the trap." Jack saluted with his mug. "Roger that, boss. Distract homicidal alien murder machine with bad jokes. Finally, a job I'm qualified for." The others chuckled nervously. But laughter was better than silence. Hours passed. The glow sticks burned low. The mess hall reeked of sweat, fear, and the sharp tang of ozone from the primed plasma cutters. Then, scraping. Faint, but unmistakable. Claws against metal. Everyone froze. Jack swallowed hard and lifted his mug. "Well," he muttered, voice shaking just enough to betray him. "Looks like the guest of honor's here." From the shadows above, a voice slithered down. Cold. Mocking. Bold. Foolish. "You make yourself bait, little human? Do you wish for death so badly?" Jack forced a laugh, louder than he felt. "Wish for death? Buddy, I'm a human. We joke about death over breakfast. You're gonna have to try harder." A hiss echoed through the vents, like a serpent laughing. Then movement, fast, precise, terrifying. A shadow dropped from the ceiling, landing in the circle of glow-stick light. And for the first time, the humans saw their hunter. The Kethri assassin was tall, lithe, built for killing. Its scales gleamed obsidian black, absorbing light. Its limbs were long, tipped with curved claws that dripped faint venom. Its eyes, those molten gold eyes, glowed in the dark, locking on Jack with predatory hunger. It was beautiful. Terrifying. Perfect. Jack's grin faltered for only a second. Then he leaned back casually, mug still in hand. "Wow. You're uglier than your hollow feed. Did your mom drop you in a blender as a hatchling, or is that the natural look?" The assassin tilted its head, studying him. "You mock what you fear. Pathetic. Do you not understand? I am inevitable. I am perfection. I am death itself." Yeah, I've heard that one before," Jack said, waving his hand dismissively. "Guess what? We humans have a saying too. Wanna hear it?" The assassin sneered. "Amuse me before you die." Jack leaned forward, eyes glinting. "Don't mess with the coffee guy." The assassin lunged. The moment it crossed the invisible line, the trap sprang. Flood lamps blazed to life, flooding the mess hall in searing white brilliance. The assassin shrieked, scales smoking under the sudden light. It stumbled, blinded, and that was when the tripwires snapped taut. Cables yanked, nets fell, and the creature found itself entangled in a snarl of human ingenuity. Plasma cutters roared to life, firing concentrated beams that scorched the walls inches from its body, hurting it inward. The room exploded in chaos. "Now!" Ward shouted. Morgan's squad opened fire, bullets ricocheting off the assassin's scales but forcing it back. The creature thrashed, tearing through some of the nets with terrifying strength, but the humans pressed harder, their war cries filling the hall. Jack scrambled backward, heart hammering, as the assassin ripped free of one restraint and lunged at him. At the last second, Morgan intercepted, slamming a shock baton into its side. The beast convulsed, hissing in fury. It was working. They were hurting it. For the first time, the predator wasn't in control. But then the assassin did something no one expected. It laughed. A horrible, rasping laugh that made the hairs on every neck stand up. Clever, it hissed. Very clever. But you cannot hold me. I have studied your kind. I know your every weakness. You fight with courage, with noise, with fire, yet it is nothing. Nothing! With a roar, it tore itself free, scattering the humans like rag dolls. The flood lamps shattered under its claws, plunging the hall into shadow once more. Jack scrambled to his feet, coughing through the smoke. His rifle was gone, his mug shattered. He was unarmed. Vulnerable. And the assassin was coming for him. Instinct screamed at him to run. But he didn't. Instead, he stood his ground. Because Morgan was right. Humans don't die easy. Yeah? Jack shouted into the dark, voice hoarse but defiant. You think you know us? Then here's something you don't know, we cheat. He hurled a glow stick into the shadows. The assassin instinctively turned toward the movement, and that was when Ward triggered the backup trap. The ceiling above the assassin exploded downward, releasing a torrent of emergency coolant. The freezing spray drenched the creature, its scales frosting over, its movements slowing. Morgan didn't hesitate. She charged, driving her shock baton straight into the creature's chest. Electricity arced through its body, and for the first time, the assassin screamed in pain. The humans swarmed, every surviving crew member piling on with whatever weapons they had, batons, rifles, even bare fists. They fought like demons, like cornered animals, like humans. Jack grabbed a broken chair leg and smashed it into the assassin's jaw. Not so perfect now, are ya? He yelled, adrenaline drowning out fear. The fight was brutal. Bloody. Desperate. The assassin slashed, its claws carving deep wounds, but the humans refused to fall. They clung to it, pinned it, burned it, shocked it. And slowly, impossibly, they brought it down. With a final shriek, the Kethri collapsed, twitching, its golden eyes dimming. The mess hall fell silent, save for ragged human breaths. For a long moment, no one moved. No one dared believe it. Then Jack staggered forward, panting, and nudged the body with his foot. Yeah, he muttered, voice raw. That's what I thought. Should have stayed invisible, buddy. Humans don't play fair. Laughter broke out, tired, hysterical, but real. The survivors clutched each other, relief washing over them like a tide. But even in victory, Major Ward's expression remained grim. She crouched beside the corpse, studying it. This wasn't just an assassin, she said quietly. This was a test. The Kethri wanted to see if we'd break. Morgan's face hardened. And we didn't. Jack dropped heavily onto a crate, head in his hands. His whole body ached, every muscle screaming. But somewhere deep down, pride burned. Because they had faced the galaxy's deadliest assassin, and they were still standing. But as he sat there, something caught his eye. The assassin's body twitched. Just slightly. Almost imperceptibly. Jack's blood ran cold. Guys? He whispered. You might want to look at this. The corpse twitched again. Not a spasm, not the aftershocks of death. This was deliberate. The Kethri's golden eyes flickered open, faint but unmistakable, glowing like coals reigniting. Everyone stumbled back in horror. I thought we killed it! One of the engineers shouted, raising a rifle. You don't kill perfection. The assassin rasped, its voice broken but defiant. We endure. It surged upward, tearing through the restraints that barely held it. Blood dripped from its wounds, scales cracked and blackened, but still it stood, still it fought. Major Ward swore under her breath. Everyone, fall back! Regroup! The survivors scrambled, firing wildly, but the bullets only slowed the creature. It was wounded, yes, but relentless. One by one, it swatted aside attacks, pushing through like a monster carved from pure rage. Jack froze in place. He could barely stand from exhaustion, let alone fight again. But something clicked in his mind, a flash of memory, the assassin's own words echoing back. I have studied your kind. I know your every weakness. And that was when it hit him. No, you don't, he whispered. Then louder. Hey, Scaly! You studied us, huh? Got our weaknesses all figured out. The assassin turned its molten eyes on him, lips peeling back in a bloody sneer. Yes. You break under pressure. You cling to hope until it is ripped away. You die screaming. Jack shook his head, stepping forward, forcing his trembling legs to move. Nah. You studied our weaknesses. But you didn't study our stupid. The creature tilted its head, confused. Jack grinned, teeth bared. And trust me, humans weaponize stupid better than anyone. Before anyone could stop him, Jack grabbed one of the emergency plasma cutters and charged. Not aiming it like a rifle, not using it as intended. He swung it like a baseball bat. The cutter smashed against the assassin's jaw with a flash of sparks. The creature staggered, stunned not by the weapon, but by the sheer absurdity of the attack. See? Jack gasped, adrenaline driving him. You can plan for strength, speed, strategy. But you can't plan for some idiot swinging power tools at your face. The others caught on instantly. Morgan roared, leaping onto the assassin's back with nothing but a length of pipe, hammering at its skull. Ward rammed a broken chair leg into its knee joint. Engineers hurled trays, mugs, even entire tables, battering it with whatever they could lift. It wasn't elegant. It wasn't military precision. It was chaos, raw, messy, human chaos. And it worked. The assassin shrieked, overwhelmed, battered down by sheer unpredictability. Its claws slashed, but every strike hit something bizarre: pots, tools, even a frying pan someone had strapped to their chest as makeshift armor. The humans fought like lunatics, laughing, screaming, refusing to follow any pattern. The assassin, built to predict, to calculate, to adapt with precision, couldn't keep up. Finally, Morgan jammed her shock baton into its throat and held it there, electricity pouring in until smoke rose from its mouth. Ward drove her improvised spear through its chest, pinning it to the floor. Jack climbed onto the pile of wreckage, panting, and pressed the plasma cutter directly against the creature's head. He looked into those fading golden eyes and whispered, "You should have stayed in the shadows." Then he pulled the trigger. The cutter flared, slicing through skull and scale. The assassin went rigid, convulsed, and went still. For real this time. Silence fell. Heavy, suffocating silence. No twitch. No breath. No golden glow. It was over. The crew collapsed where they stood, too exhausted to even cheer. Some laughed weakly, others sobbed. Ward sat against the wall, blood streaking her face, her eyes hollow but alive. Morgan leaned on her baton like a crutch, breathing hard. Jack slumped onto the floor beside the smoldering corpse, every muscle screaming in protest. He stared at the ceiling, chest heaving, and let out a shaky laugh. "Guess what?" he croaked. "We win." No one corrected him. No one argued. Because it was true. 4 hours afterward, the survivors worked in a daze. They dragged the body to an airlock, sealed it in, and ejected it into the void. The assassin's corpse spun silently into the stars, a dark reminder of what had nearly ended them. Ward watched it drift away, her expression unreadable. "If this was a test," she said softly, "we've just sent the galaxy an answer." Morgan nodded grimly. "Humans don't die easy." Jack, leaning against the bulkhead, raised his dented mug in salute. "Damn right." Repairs began immediately. The outpost systems were in shambles, but with teamwork, and a frankly irresponsible amount of duct tape, they coaxed power back online. Lights flickered, machines hummed, and the oppressive darkness finally lifted. By the time dawn broke over the nearest star, Outpost Kestrel looked battered, scarred, but alive. Much like its crew. Later, as the survivors gathered in the mess hall, now half destroyed, scorch marks still on the walls, Jack stood up, clearing his throat. "So," he said, raising his mug of reheated sludge coffee. "To recap, alien death lizard sneaks aboard, promises doom, and tries to pick us off. We respond with glow sticks, karaoke, mannequins, and power tool baseball. Result? 1 dead assassin, 16 very traumatized but extremely badass humans. A ripple of laughter spread through the group. Jack grinned. Moral of the story? If the galaxy wants to send its deadliest killers after us, they'd better send more than one. Because humans? We're too dumb to stay dead. They cheered. Loud, ragged, defiant. And somewhere, across the cold stars, the Ketheri would hear. Because humans don't just survive. They send messages. And the message was clear: we don't break. We don't beg. We fight. And we win. Jack downed his coffee in one gulp, grimaced at the taste, and sighed. Now somebody fix the damn espresso machine before the next assassin shows up. Laughter erupted again, louder this time. The galaxy might keep testing them. More assassins might come. More enemies might rise. But Outpost Kestrel had proven something vital, something no alien strategist could ever predict. Humans don't die easy. And we never stop laughing.